This meeting is being recorded.
Hey, good evening, Andrew.
Well, good evening, Nikki, Bernice, Papa, Louis, and Stuart.
Good evening, good evening. I guess we should have dressed up, but he's got on a suit and tie.
Oh, it's a typical uniform. Nothing special.
It looks special according to the rest of us. Thank you. Andrew's what's called a gentleman and a scholar. It shows.
I've known Andrew for many years, and that is the same appearance, sharp, good looking as always.
Absolutely. Impressive.
Well, I represent all of us at all times, so I try to. Also, it's true that better I look, the better I feel, so it's therapeutic as well.
I hear you. Loud and clear. I can tell you all stories, friends. Good stories. Good stories. Jean, are you with us, Jean? Are you with us, Jean?
I am just coming in, ladies.
Yeah, good. And Elaine, are you there? Welcome, Patricia.
I'm here.
Good. Welcome. We are waiting for a Albuquerque contingent to arrive.
Oh, just as a housekeeping note, we've also been joined by my AI note taker. So for those of you whose names are not the ones you would like to be recorded, like Papa, for instance, it might be smart to rename yourself so that we can identify who's speaking. Just as a note, just as a housekeeping note. Thank you. I'm sure you're saying something, Papa, but until you unmute yourself, I can't hear you.
You're muted. There you go.
There you go.
I had already unmuted myself, but apparently I muted myself back again. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know how to re-identify myself or know whether I should, but my name is Michael Hall.
Ah, that's very helpful to know. I think Stuart is the only one that can rename you other than yourself as a host. But at worst case scenario, we'll just know that Pop is Michael Stuart.
Michael Hall.
Michael Hall. Thank you. Technology is only great when it works, and it looks like Stuart dropped out. But
Andrew, since Louis can be written by the AI program in various modes, we could use Angel, which is my middle name, and that doesn't have any AI translations.
Well, you'd be necessary for them to rename yourself that.
Okay.
So it automatically will record whatever name is posted, that's the name it's going to record to the best of its limited ability.
Okay.
And Bernie, I know that's Bernice, so I'll just know who you are when I see that note. She dropped out, seems.
I don't know whether she actually was ever connected with the audio.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, on my screen it says she's connecting to the audio, and it said that all along. But when Stuart asked her if she heard him, she didn't answer.
Oh, Stuart, both Jean and yourself have the same name typed in the as it shows. As I was explaining, Jean, and comment allez-vous aujourd'hui? Jean?
Thank you, thank you. That's good. I'm fine, I'm fine.
Great. If you could be so kind as to rename yourself with your name, that would be helpful for the AI tracker to identify who's speaking. Because as it stands right now, both Stuart and yourself have the same name. So if you would be so happy as to click your name and the participants on the right-hand side, there's 3 dots. Let's see here. Yeah. So if you click those 3 dots, you'll have the option to rename yourself.
No, that's because I sometimes organize meetings. I plan some for Stuart. I connect with the Zoom too. I have his credentials.
Oh, one thing has nothing to do with the other. Just for the purposes of this meeting, if you would rename yourself, then it'll automatically go back to whatever it was before the next time you get launched into another meeting, just for your information. But it's
Okay.
not a deal breaker. Not a deal breaker.
Great.
Bernice, you can hear us now.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Welcome, Queenmother.
We
Thank
see
you.
you. Excellent. And yeah, actually, I'm in a car right now. We're driving, so I can't. I can't. There's no light, so I'm going to look pretty dark. That's okay. We see your picture. Okay, you see my picture. Good. Yeah. Okay, so friends, we have gathered. We have quite a crew tonight, with others coming. I would like to invite Queenmother Bernice Atchinson to give us an opening prayer, and then for Michael Hall to follow it up with a verse. And then we'll start.
May we clear our minds as we come to the throne of mercy. Father God, we want to thank you for this day. We want to thank you for the gathering here. We ask you to pour out your mercy and your grace upon us. We ask that you give us the thoughts and the will to do your will in accordance to what you have set before us. Father, we're just so grateful that we have this opportunity to come together and to learn from each other what we need to learn in order that we might be able to continue to aid and assist humanity. Give us strength, give us wisdom and knowledge, and allow us, O Lord, to work together in harmony and in peace. Bless each person that is under the sound of my voice. We ask you to continue, O Lord, as we try to resolve the problems that are set before us. We realize that all power is in your hand, that you are able to do all things. So therefore, we submit ourselves into your hand, that we might do your will on this night as we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bernice, for bringing this grace. And I've asked Michael Hall if he would give us a verse that we had last time, to read it twice. It's short, and then to offer a word or two about this verse. But first, Patricio, I'm going to hang up now. Are you hearing on the? Yes, you can hang up. I'm on the Zoom call now. Great. Okay. Father brought that up. The mom would never scratch up. She gave me this seat. Okay, so friends, if people can mute for a moment. Patricio, can you mute for a moment? I've asked Michael if he would bring us a verse for this evening.
It's called The Verse for America by Rudolf Steiner. May our feelings penetrate into the center of our hearts and seek in love to unite themselves with the human beings seeking the same goal, with the spirit beings who, bearing grace, strengthening us from realms of light and illuminating our love, are gazing down upon our earnest, heartfelt striving.
Maybe, Michael, can you say a word about what you understand this verse to be? And then after you said a word, can you read it a second time if you'd be so good?
Well, first of all, you've spoken in the past about bridge from this world to the spirit world, and the verse is meant to unite us in this world with the spirit world. And I suppose the only other thing I want to say about it is when it begins, may our feelings penetrate into the center of our hearts. I think that's where we find the bridge.
Thank you. Please give it to us again, if you would, Michael.
May our feelings penetrate into the center of our hearts and seek in love to unite themselves with the human beings seeking the same goal, with the spirit beings who, bearing grace, strengthening us from realms of light and illuminating our love, are gazing down upon our earnest, heartfelt striving.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael.
Yes, thank you.
So the gesture, friends, is from heart to heart among us, and also with those spirit beings that are gazing down upon us. And that leads to introductions for tonight. Can people take, if you would, we have much to accomplish. If I may ask if you can put in roughly 1 minute who you are and how you're connected with this work. Maybe we can start in the bottom right and I'll go across. Elaine, do you want to take a minute and introduce yourself and say how you're connected with the work? Are you?
How am I connected to the work? I'm just a freeloader. I just do my own research and share with others when they're interested various materials that I find. And whether they pick it up or use it or discard it is clearly up to them. And part of one area where everyone tends to view it with extreme skepticism, if not disbelief, is the flat earth. And I've been looking at that for at least 8 years. And I find more and more spokespersons for flat earth. Stuart asked me to talk for 10 minutes potentially on flat earth and the concepts of it. But it's such a large topic that I actually just downloaded a 6-hour video. It's the School of Hebrews in Philadelphia where the pastor I can't say his last name, Pastor Omar, actually has 5 different lessons in biblical cosmology.
Elaine, we will come, sorry to interrupt, we will come to that. This is just for a brief minute of introduction, and then you will have a space tonight. I'm very much looking forward to what you have.
Well, what I would like to ask simply to the room is anybody else interested in it, and if it would be worthwhile to maybe put a page on the Concord website. I would like other people's opinions, and that's what I would like people to consider when you come back to me.
Wonderful. Elaine, thank you. And Elaine is a center trustee. She is a representative of the Heartland, a woman of great gifts, and a woman of the people. So thank you, Elaine, and we will come back. Going across the bottom of the screen, Patricio, do you want to take a minute to introduce yourself? You'll also be speaking more later tonight.
Okay, I am a Native American from New Mexico. I belong to the Piro Manso Tiwa tribe. I was initiated as a medicine person at age 5. Finally became of age probably in my 30s, and I'm no longer living in the tribal village. I now live in the city of Albuquerque, and I am acting as a medicine or spiritual leader to the larger community known as Albuquerque.
Wonderful.
I also have my associate with me who is part of the One People Tribal Nation, acting as a clan mother, and I would like her to at least say something.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Melody. I also go by Paulus Vesta. I work very closely with Patricio, and we have 2 nonprofits that we work together on, and I'm the clan mother to the Emerald Hearts clan of One People Tribal Nation.
Okay, I think that will suffice as an intro. We'll let somebody else intro.
Wonderful. Before we go to Bernice, I just want to say that the Center for American Studies has a national amends offering, which attempts to do justice to the question of reparations, not through the political channels, but through individual human conscience. That is, we list nonprofit organizations, Native American, African American, Latin American, that are not only serving their people, but serving humanity. People are attracted to the website, through the website, to these organizations. And we will have on our website, we had it up, we had 50 nonprofits, but that crashed, so we're rebuilding it. What that leads to is individuals who feel that they have benefited through their families, through their schools, through their clubs, through whatever the institutions are, at the expense of our Native American, African American, Latin American brothers and sisters, that who their historic conscience has moved them to want to make a difference. They can then go to the websites where there'll be a link, there'll be a mission statement, and there will be obviously the name of the organization, and they can contribute. They can hit the contribute button, and so they can move from being part of the ongoing problem out of individual conscience to become part of the long-awaited solution. So Luis might say more about that later tonight, but whenever I hear of a nonprofit that colleagues are involved in who I respect, I just want to make note of that so we can highlight, if you're interested, your work in a way that I think can draw significant funding. So we'll come back to that. But Bernice, wonderful to have you with us, our godmother, so to speak. Do you want to take a moment and introduce yourself? Yeah, I think you're on mute.
I am Bernice Atchinson of Alabama. I am a servant here to learn and to give of my service. I represent the 66,000 denied Black farmers, and I am appointed by the court. I also represent the FAU SmartWise Reinvestment Coalition of Chilton County and the United Nations. I offer my service and assistance to those who have no voice in my county. Thank you.
Bernice is also a trustee of the Center for American Studies, and a veritable sister. We come to another youth trustee, Jean, who's with us, who has brought tremendous amount to the work of the center. Jean, do you want to say a word of introduction?
Can you hear me?
No.
It is always an honor for me to be here. My name is Jean. I was born in Haiti. I was born and raised in Haiti, but I currently live in the Dominican Republic. I am a social media marketing strategist. Our company Stuart with different marketing program on social media for the work, and I'm also a cybersecurity student. I have raised awareness against phishing, different sort of attacks that hackers could bring to different institutions or people. And also, I am an interpreter. I help accompany some American friends when they go to Haiti. I help interpret from English to Haitian Creole and from Haitian Creole to English to help them connect with my local people when we have American friends going to Haiti. So this is who I am, and that's how I'm connected to the world. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here.
No, thank you very much, very much. We have our sister beside you, Patricia Ann Davis, another center trustee.
I have been part of a group of grandmothers that have been teaching from one generation to the other, and they're called Child of All Nations. And my work is Indigenous Wisdom Institute. I call my domain I call it Denehojo National let me say it again. Denehojo Natural Order Law Spirituality. And I've been stewarding a body of knowledge that indigenous knowledge and wisdom that is called a community of practice. That's with the authentic medicine people of the Kachitni and Kia'ani authentic medicine clans of the Diné or Navajo people, and including my late father, who did initiate me at eight years old. And I designed a well, it's simply a decision-making process, but it's called Indigenous Ceremonial Change Process. And that is patterned after authentic ceremonial practices and processes. And to the person, Patricio Dominguez, I am living in south of you in Belen, in southern New Mexico, south of Albuquerque.
Yes, Patricio knows of your work, Patricia. And I hope you both will connect. Thank you for what you've offered. Andrew, dear brother.
Oh, thank you so much. My name is Andrew Williams Jr. And as a land acknowledgement, I'm communicating to you from Los Angeles, California, a home of many indigenous people, including the Tongass. But I am a native of Macon, Georgia, which is home to the Muskogee Creek Indians, of which have lineage, and also of the Gullah Geechee, as well as Celtic origins. So I'm here following my life's mission to find ways to reconnect our human family. But in terms of the meeting here today, I have been honored to become a trustee, although I was introduced to this through my brother in Bermuda, Corn Smith. He and I are both alumni of an organization called the Global Business Incubation. And it was through our collaboration that I became, and Corn became, co-directors of the Friends of the African Union Bermuda Americas Bureau in 2012. But Andrew, the name, as you know, represents the person who is identified as opening the door to Jesus for his brother Peter, and technically for the world. I'm a door opener. And so earlier when I spoke to you, Nikki, about representing all of us, in 2009, I was appointed one of the first Facebook ambassadors, and I've been appointing goodwill ambassadors around the world since that time. We have about 100 now, but the idea is for us to all represent our local areas, share on a global scale, and through that, we do so with the help of an organic network that's grown, known as Andrew Networks, where we have a place on the New World Network to reach a wider audience. So I hope the work we do through the Center for American Trustees can reach a wider audience through our efforts here now and moving forward to the second year of my orientation in Concord, and also for moving us all towards the 50th anniversary of the Center for American Studies at Concord. So I'll put a pin in it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Patricio, if you could go on mute, if you could remember to go on mute, that would help in terms of the background noise. Thank you very much. Luis, a new center trustee from Puerto Rico.
Thank you, Stuart. My name is Luis Angel Cruz Diaz. As Stuart said, I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I am a Kentucky Colonel and Goodwill Ambassador. I have been involved in Goodwill and startups of nonprofit organizations since 2005, starting out with Globe Call International, with the parent company Ecology Crossroads, where we have been developing different foundations directed towards the indigenous tribes of the Amazon, and also the ambassadorship, naming ambassadors to many positions around the world. And Andrew and I have known us for many years, and we are both Goodwill ambassadors in various organizations. And in my personal sense, I have been a consultant, integrator, and advisor to many organizations in different fields. But the basis for me being with the center is that I have been led by a transformation from being a warrior of war to trying to become a warrior spirit of light. And the center, I came to the center through Andrew, invited by Andrew, and I have found that the center has opened the doors to me in order to allow me to know myself better, understand myself, understand the meaning and the purpose in life for me going forward. I will be involved with the center in a project that we will be speaking on a little bit later. But basically,
Sorry, excuse me, friends, please go on mute. Patricio, can you go on mute?
There are several people that are not muted, Stuart, but as host, you can mute them.
Okay, if folks, you could mute. I'd rather not mute you if you don't mind. Sorry, Luis, my apologies.
no problem. Um, in the center, as part of the project, I will also be representing the Latin American, Caribbean, Taino heritage of Puerto Rico in the cosmopolitan of all the races that will be invited, and all the groups and organizations that fight for the acknowledgement of the Native American, Afro-American, and Latin American communities. So I'll be a spokesperson for both the Latin American and the Taino heritage for Puerto Rico.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So again, friends, if we could be concise with these introductions, we have a lot to touch on tonight. Michael, welcome.
Being concise should be no problem. I'm mainly an experienced Waldorf teacher for 45 years, and I'm here because I'm still wondering why I've been invited, and I'm trying to learn.
If Michael stays around long enough, you all will discover why he's been invited. Thank you, Michael. Also has a connection with music as well. We'll be talking at one point about our crescendoing concert of concerts. Nikki, good evening.
There it is. Okay. I was trying to go through some old biographies that I did because I really don't speak much about myself, and I'm still wondering why I'm here, except I just tend to, show up where I seem to be needed. I have, looking at something that I just pulled up that I had put together a long time ago as far as biography goes, is that I have an interest in the systemic approach to government that includes biopsychosocial and spiritual aspects within the individuals and the individuals' communities that either promote or hinder our nation's overall wellness. My interest and approach are supported by the first paragraph of the 1776 Declaration. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to, number one, dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, in, Federal Reserve System in this case. And number two is to assume amongst the powers of the earth a separate and equal station to which we're entitled. And number three is to declare the causes which impel us to the separation. And I tend to dig to the roots of the problems to declare the causes. So if I can fit in any way that I could fit in that manner, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Now to jump to the bottom of the screen. Waldo, Arthur, we asking people to take a minute to say a word of introduction if you'd like to join us. Can you hear?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We hear you, yes.
Okay, my name is Arthur. This name Waldo Walden is an internet name and Facebook. I'm in Concord. Stuart is one of the earliest friends here from 2018. I'm here. And I'm a peace activist, human rights activist, have walked with groups and alone all over the world since '92. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Arthur. So friends, I'm going to introduce, before we invite Patricio to speak of his work, and then Elaine, and then after Patricio and Elaine speak of their work, so we can get a sense of the breadth and richness of the Global Village University, then we'll go through the different pages that we began last week, having read the first two. But before I turn to Patricio, I wanted to repeat something that I don't think can be repeated often enough, which is the nature of this Global Village University. And so I want to introduce others who are not with us in body or soul, but are with us in spirit, who are in the spiritual worlds. And I'm referring to Concordians such as Henry David Thoreau, Ellery Channing, Ralph Waldo Emerson, his wife Lydian, and his first wife and beloved Ellen, Amos Bronson Alcott and his daughter Louisa May Alcott, Nathaniel Hawthorne, our Shakespeare, and Sophia Hawthorne, our Joan of Arc, Margaret Fuller, the great and good Walt Whitman, the poet of Columbia, Herman Melville of Moby Dick, and Abraham Lincoln. There are others with whom we work, if I may suggest, on an ongoing basis, but I want to bring them into our conversation with a little story about how this unfolded that some of you heard last week, but again, I believe it couldn't be told enough. And that is, I gave a talk for Thoreau's bicentennial anniversary here in Concord. I'm looking out the window of the Colonial Inn at the Masonic Lodge established by Paul Revere, where the 20th anniversary is mentioned of Thoreau's birth. My talk was on the Henry David Thoreau we do not yet know. And I was speaking about his clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience, his spiritual gifts, which we pale-faced white folks have difficulty coming to grips with. Before I began, I noticed, I should say some of us pale-faced white folks have difficult coming to grips with that which isn't the dead in intellect itself. Before I began the talk, I noticed a woman in the audience who caught my eye. At the end of the talk, she came up to me. She later told me she felt a nudge in the middle of her back. And she said, I understood what you said. Henry David understood what you said. And then she broke down in tears. I reached out my hand and I said, is there anything else you'd like to say? And she told me the story of a young girl who had these gifts, which more have than we're aware of, but couldn't find much of a resonance in society. She described how, and her name was Claire. Her name was Claire, this woman who's clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient. And she described a visit she had to Concord as a young girl. Her father loved Concord and took her here. And when they went in the Emerson home, she was as if led upstairs, the main stairway, and she turned right into the room where Henry David Thoreau had lived when Waldo was lecturing overseas as kind of the house father. And she chided Henry for being a bit grumpy, what she could pick up as a young girl. Anyways, life went on, a life filled with unrequited love, which may be clear in a moment why I mention that. And in her late 60s, she received a book catalog with a picture of Henry David Thoreau on the cover. And he winked at her, so to speak, which caught her attention. And that led to her discovering, she would say, and I wouldn't repeat it if I haven't come to believe it is a case, but there's no dogmas here. Your own hearts will inform you whether this makes sense or not, she came to discover that she was Henry David Thoreau in their last lifetime, his beloved Ellen Sewell. And we hear about Ellen when Henry David Thoreau, on his deathbed, the author of Walden and Civil Disobedience and Life Without Principles, on his deathbed, he heard his sister Sophia and his mother talking about Ellen in the kitchen. And he said quietly, Bronson Alcott was there, I believe, I always loved her. Well, Claire gets this catalog, notices this wink, so to speak, tunes in, and discovers that Henry David Thoreau, who he was to her, but more to the point, when we cross a threshold, I believe, we don't just sprout angel wings and everything is going to be better happily ever after, but we bring all of our trials and tribulations and our burdens with us across the threshold for better and for worse. And that's what happened with Henry David Thoreau, who had many losses in his life. And he was in danger not of suicide, since he was already dead, but soul aside, what's referred to as soul aside. Normally, when one is in such desperate straits, when a person dies, they're reunited with their beloved ones, and we can lend each other a hand. But this was a kind of an emergency where Claire's attention had to be called to Henry David to work with him, with her gifts, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, in a way that could be of solace and comfort for him. And that's what happened. And this is what Claire told me when I said, is there anything else you'd like to say? She shared this story. There are all sorts of people who make such claims, so I take it all with a bit of a grain of salt. I determined to, over the days of the Thoreau Society annual meeting, to spend time with Claire to get a sense of who she was and to draw this story to an end. And really the main point of this story, we were sitting in front of the Concord School of Philosophy, which is one of the most significant chapters in America's cultural history. And by America, I mean the United States of America. There's so much richness in the native peoples and other peoples. But in America's cultural history, Concord School of Philosophy is one of the most significant impulses in the Indian Summer of Transcendentalism, 1879 to 1888. And we were sitting in front of the Concord School of Philosophy when Claire asked, she's a communicator, and she asked if I'd like to be connected with Henry, and I said, be glad to. So she built the bridge, so to speak, and the question was, Stuart, is there anything you'd like to ask Henry? Well, my response was, there actually is. And I said, Henry, I've often wondered whether you really meant to justify John Brown's use of violence and even murder in the abolition cause, whether you really meant to justify that. Henry, in characteristic Henry David Thoreau fashion, said, I stand, Stuart, by my words. So I thought, well, who am I to question this old friend? I let it drop. 2 weeks later, I was in a canoe in northern New Hampshire talking with Claire on the cell phone when she said, Henry has just jumped into the canoe. And she went on to say, his message is, Stuart, I take back my words. I take back my words. I realize it is blasphemy to take another's life. So friends, what I'm describing is we all know, conductors, poets, that inspiration can flow down from above to us here on earth. But the bridge goes the other way as well. That is, we can offer something up to those in the spiritual worlds, in heaven, whatever term you want to use, something that can contribute to their own further evolution as well. And this kind of work is vital, I would say. What I offered was not profound at all, but it was heartfelt. Henry, did you really mean to justify violence and murder in the case of John Brown for the abolition cause. Well, to draw the story to a conclusion, I asked him another question a few weeks later. Again, nothing profound, something most simple. I said, Henry, have you been in touch with Ralph Waldo Emerson, since you've been on the other side of the Great Divide? And he said, no. Again, if Claire knows what she's talking about, and I wouldn't be sharing this unless I believe she does, but you all, will make your own determination in your own hearts. There's nothing dogmatic about this at all. But the second question I asked Henry was if you've been in touch with Waldo since you've been over on the other side. And Henry said no. And I said something equally unprofound. I said, that's a shame. Because while they were very close on Earth, they also had these divisions. And Earth seems to be the place for divisions. You have the Throvians, and you have the Emersonians, and you have the Alcatians. Well, my response, that's a shame, inspired Henry to reach out to Waldo. So this tiding here, if you will, from the earth to our friends in the heavens. And Claire described the meeting, and she said, Waldo said the following, friends: nobody knew how much I loved Henry. And then he paused and said, I didn't know how much I loved Henry. And then they embraced with tears. Again, very simple example of what can happen when we try to stay in touch with those we feel connected to, with those we love on the other side of the veil. My point is, we are working with these extraordinary figures. The last one I mentioned was Abraham Lincoln. The first was Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson. Every night I go out to Eden by the old manse, to a stone rock outcropping that many busloads of people from China, India, and the Far East say is the center of the ley lines of the earth. And I counsel with these good spirits I've mentioned and others. So as we gather here on earth, friends, I would say they are with us in the heights. And that is what Thoreau meant by it is time we had uncommon schools. It is time that villages were universities, even invisible universities. Well, that I think is a good lead-in, Patricio, to your work. I wonder if you can make yourself visible, so as you describe your work, which I think is of great significance, that we can see you as well, if that's possible. Are you there, Patricio? Can you hear me, Patricio?
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Actually, I double booked myself. I promised my associate that we'd have dinner this evening, and so we are at a restaurant, and so that you'll have to excuse the background noises and all of that, because this is my best attempt at being in two places at once and meeting two commitments at once. But here's the way it goes. At an elders and youth meeting back in 2000 approximately, or maybe it was around, no, I think it was later than that. Let's make it 2012. And around 2012, I was at an elders and youth council where half a dozen or more elders gathered, and about 100 youth. And these were not native youth. These were inner city youth from the California area, mostly from Oakland, because there was a man doing youth work in Oakland, California, and he arranged for a large group of Oakland youth to appear or to participate in this Elders and Youth Council. the Elders and Youth Council was a 14-day event. And during the course of this 14-day event, the elders spoke with the youth and shared many of their understandings, teachings, and practices with the youth. And some of the things they learned was how to build a fire, from scratch, and how to, and how to track things, because we actually were in a forest environment, and how, and understanding their interrelationship between human beings and the natural world. And so for 14 days, the youth would sit at our feet. Say, actually, it wasn't quite like that. We sat around the fire, and different elders would share the things that they had to share with the youth. This wasn't the first Elders and Youth Council. There had been others prior to this, and for God knows whatever reason, we thought we would do something different. Well, actually, one of the members of the Elders Council said, "You know what? Let's do something different. For the last so many years, we've brought youth in, and we've shared all this knowledge with them. We've, basically just talked at them. Let's actually, with this group, do something really different. Let's ask them what they would like to hear from us, instead of us just throwing wisdom and knowledge at them. Let's actually see what they really would like to know." And so we said, "Okay, how do we do this?" And we said, "Okay, this was like 2 days before the end of the council." They said, "We're going to let the youth have a youth council, and they will among themselves have a discussion about what is really important to them, what they really want to know from us, and what they really would like us to share with them." So the night before the last council day, they have their meeting, and we had scheduled that the next morning they were going to come to us and deliver the message. And we told them to choose a young lady and a young man from their group to be the spokesperson for the youth. That morning at the council fire, the young man and the young lady came before the council, and they said something that left us absolutely stunned. It was speechless. We were just speechless. We, for a while, went into into some kind of a alternate space, because we didn't know how to deal with this. But the young man, because the young lady basically deferred to the young man who's there, he said, "We've been here for 14 days now, and we have learned many things from you. We've learned how to relate to the natural world. We've learned our relationship with fire. You've taught us how to pray in a very special way. All of these things that you have taught us have left a very deep impression on us. And it is very difficult for us now to go back into the world that we came from and not be able to continue to live the way that we are living here with you today. We would really like to continue to live this way. What we would like you to do is we would like you to adopt us, accept us into your tribes, and adopt us in so that we can live with you and we can be like you, because we don't want to go back to the way we were." And of course, silence for several minutes, because we looked at each other and said, we do have a process of adoption, but there is no process for adopting 200 youth into anybody's into anybody's tribe. And so what we did is we gave these children a kind of a half answer and said, well, we really can't adopt you all because that would be extremely difficult for us. It would be challenging. But here's what we'll do. We will continue to work with you in the future. We'll keep holding these elders and youth councils. And if you if you really want to continue to work with us and learn our ways, keep coming to these things. And so then we kind of sent them off and back to their groups. And the rest of the day we prepared for the day's meals and that sort of thing, and a farewell to everybody to go back home. On the way home, I was flying back from California to New Mexico, and I said, what they asked for is really, really incredible. They said they wanted to be Native Americans. They wanted to live like us. They were not happy with the way they were living and the worldview and the world that they were living. How in the world can we possibly fix this? And I was very uncomfortable with the answer we gave them. And then on the way home, I said, there is a solution. There is a way for this to happen. What if there was a tribe that could adopt all of these children and take them in and work with them in a way and have them not only understand but actually live tribal ways? So I said, why can't we just form a tribe? Let's just form a tribe and open it to anybody who wishes to join. A tribe that you don't have to be born into, a tribe that you can voluntarily participate in by just requesting to be a member. And it would, of course, need to be led by somebody. And of course, I had talked afterwards to some of the elders from the Elders Council, and they said, that's an interesting idea. If you can figure out a way to do that, we will certainly support you in this, and we will act as guides and advisors to this tribe, even though we cannot actually be part of the tribe because we already have our tribal memberships. But we can certainly be advisors to this new tribe. So I sat down for 2 years after that, and I worked out a charter for a new tribe and a lot of the details that would be necessary to make a new tribe, wrote it up, submitted it to the Elders Council, seeing if they would want to go with it. We had a signing party. Several elders signed off on it, saying that they would continue to work with the members of this new tribe. And we put it out there in public. Of course, I registered the tribe in the state of New Mexico, and I went through all the usual political bullshit that's required. And so there is in New Mexico a registered, non-federally recognized tribe called the One People Tribal Nation, and it has a website, onepeopletribalnation.org, and all of those details that were part of the charter are on that website. And that was the work that I guess got the attention of Stuart and had him call me, because he was fascinated by the idea that an organization could be that is for everyone and has principles that are based on natural living is in existence. And that's all I'm going to say for right now.
Patricio, thank you. Can you share your wife's dream?
Okay. I was good. That was a thumbnail sketch. Okay, so now we're going to go.
It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be long, just to give us that dream.
Okay, here is the situation. About 20 years prior to the event that I just described, at one elders and youth meeting, my wife one morning woke me up and said, I had the most peculiar dream. I'm not sure what it means, but I'm going to tell it to you. Now, this isn't abnormal. My wife is a bona fide dreamer, and she has many dreams, and I'm not going to go into all of her dreams, and I'm not even going to tell you everything, or some of the important things that she's seen in her visions and dreams. But this one dream, she says, I was taken by spirits up to a very high mountain, and I was told to look down into the valley. And in that valley, I saw a group of people living the most peaceful, pristine lives that could ever be. I saw people raising animals. I saw people growing things in their fields. I saw medicine people doing healings. I saw children playing in the open spaces. I saw all these many things, but there was something peculiar about it. And I turned to the spirits and I said, why are you showing me this? I don't recognize this people. They are not my tribe. And the spirit said to her, you are the mother of all of these people. These are all your children. And she said to the spirits, no, that's impossible. I have one daughter and one son, and there is no way that this one daughter and one son could ever produce all of these people that populated this village and the world and beyond. So no, this can't be. And she says, and the spirits, of course, said, well, these are your children. You are the mother of these children and these people. So what does this dream mean? She said to me, you're the medicine man. Your job is to interpret dreams, right? And I said, I'll get back to you. And I have to think about this one. 20 years later, I hadn't got back to her. And then she never asked again about what to interpret that dream. But then on my flight back to Albuquerque, and I was thinking about these youth wanting to join the tribe, it hit me. The wife's dream, the tribe that she is the mother of. And I said, oh, okay, if she's the mother, then I must be the father. So it's my job to put this thing together. And that's why I took on the task of creating or bringing that dream into the three-dimensional world by creating the One People Tribal Nation. But actually, it was not my work. It came from spirit, and it came through my wife.
Amen. Amen. Wonderful. Well, friends, we'll hear more about this, I hope, in the future. There's so much more about what brought Patricio himself to this whole process. So we'll hear more. But I want to go, as I said, this evening, we're going to have some substantive offerings like Patricio's just done. And then we're going to go and look at the actual Global Village University in the details, further details. So Elaine, dear sister, tell us, if you will, about the flat earth. We've asked if tonight you would give an overview. This is, I think, one of the most significant issues of our time that's filled with misunderstanding. So take, if you will, Elaine, 10 minutes into bring it to us, if you would. And then I want to turn to General Arnold Gordon Bray, who's with us. Are you there, Elaine? Elaine, are you there? Hang on a second, friends. 1 minute.
Stuart, I made a mistake that I need to correct. I had told my associate that I would allow her to speak during this because as a clan mother, actually she does have the right to do this, and I did not do that. I'm going to try and make amends for that at this point, and let her present. Is that okay with you?
He's saying absolutely, but he's muted.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Yes.
And bring back the video. We don't see your video, Patricio.
Okay. Can you put the video back on?
Am I getting paid now? I need to post a calendar district.
Okay.
There you are. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You need it back?
No, that's okay. Thank you. So the One People Tribal Nation is a matriarchal tribe, and so all of our bands and clans have clan mothers that need to have a clan father, but it's usually the clan mothers that are the ones that take care of business per se. And so as part of the tribe, what we do is host social events and ceremonies, dances, things like that to bring the tribe together. So it's not just, oh, we're a tribe and you're a part of this tribe. We do the social gatherings. So, what I wanted to share with you all is how we conduct our tribe and be able to bring that type of tribal sovereignty together within our community. We host workshops. We offer different types of teachings and be able to have community gatherings. I often offer big meals at my place. Whoever wants to come may come and eat. So creating that type of tribal energy within the community. And like what Patricio was saying was that it's to be able, like, anybody can join the tribe. And so being able to create that container for those that are interested in building community together, we have a big event in the summer, and we bring a bunch of healers, readers, massage therapists, different modalities together, and we have this big event to open it up to the community and be able to have people come and experience these healing modalities. And they get to experience the sweat lodge. They get to experience sound healing and things that they normally wouldn't experience or be able to do or think about doing. And it gives them a chance to be able to have that time to do it without commitment. So, having this tribe is creating that community and that center to have camaraderie and to learn different things, different knowledges. We have students too that are learning sweat lodge. They're learning how to pour sweat lodge and tend to the fires. We have dances once a month that bring the community together. We do drumming and dance circles together. We also offer coming of age ceremonies for them, for the youths, and giving them that chance to like come into their adulthood in a beautiful and profound way. Yeah. So these are the things that I wanted to share with you, that what it is that we do as a tribe, because we can say, oh, we're a tribe, but like how are we doing that? How are we creating that tribe? And the tribal mindset, the tribal community, you know, we're not living together as a tribe, not yet. That's something that's in the works, that we would like to create a space where we have community living and a shared community space. But just because we're not living together like a tribe, we're able to still come together and have those tribal times and bring community together. And so that's what we're doing here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for seeing that as the clan mother, that your voice was heard. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so if there's a band that is interested in becoming a clan of One People Tribal Nation, you would need to have a clan mother and a clan father. The clan father supports the clan mother in whatever social gatherings and community building that needs to happen or is happening, and the clan mother implements those community building things. And so the clan father is the support for the clan mother.
Wonderful. Can you put any contact information and the website in the chat so that people can follow up who have an interest? Is that possible?
Yes, of course.
Wonderful. Good, then we're going to continue with this overview. So Elaine, please take 10 minutes, if you will, and bring us a deeper appreciation of the flat Earth.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. And coming into flat Earth, or just considering that, is something that people instinctively they back away from. They don't want to go there because they've been taught so much about the globe through their whole school. Everyone knows it. Their parents knew it. That to even consider the possibility that it was all a hoax, just it's scary for people to actually approach the topic. By the time I was 4, I was in my sandbox trying to dig to China. By the time I was 4, I knew the Earth was a globe. I had been told that. Well, my dad had been told that. Now, who told him that? He was born in 1919. They actually were still teaching the flat Earth concept in the 1920s. NASA itself was not formed until 1958, the same year I was born. But it's been ridiculed to the point where it undercuts everything that you know. There's teachers. There's people that have taught their children this. There's preachers who have taught a globe theology and religion. And to approach that as an adult and say, wait a minute, I just want to find out the truth. What is it? Can I prove it? And then allow the truth to be whatever it is, wherever your research leads you, to where you form your own beliefs and experiences. When you dive into it, saying, okay, it is what it is, I'm okay with it whichever way it is, but it will catch your breath because you've been teaching your children this. You've been watching Star Wars. You've been watching them go to the moon and land on it. Your whole life, this has been drilled in, and it's so ingrained that to think that that may possibly be a deception really will shake people. It's one of those topics that can be approached from at least 10 different ways, whether it's biblical or who the researchers were, or how do you know, or who told you, or the government agencies, the measurements that's claimed. And over the years, I have found some of the strongest people. Rob Skiba was one. He was Air Force pilot. He wanted to be an astronaut. He taught globe in Sunday school. And when he did the research on flat Earth and his whole world crumbled around it, and he came out speaking in support of flat Earth. And he lost supporters, he lost friends, he was told to shut up. He said, I can't. If this is where the truth leads me, he's like, how did I miss it in the Bible? It's there. He's looked for it. He did the moon landings. He researched everything he could find on it. And he finally came out on flat Earth. And when a person has that much at stake, he lost a lot of subscriptions and funding and public speaking engagements and things of that nature. And so there's some integrity and courage for somebody to come out and speak that strongly on a topic that's not popular. Whether others are my son too. Well, what difference does it make to me? I'm living here now today. It doesn't matter to me what it is. But it does matter because you start saying deceptions and you start saying more of them. Even the alien deception, they're coming from outer space. They're either going to save us or kill us or eat us, whatever, whichever way they're selling it. And if there is no outer space out there, if we're in a God-given realm with the firmament, what are we saying out there? And then you start to realize, well, demonic entities have been around since the Garden of Eden, basically. And renaming something does not change what that thing is. If I call a rose some other name, it is still a rose. So how would you know it was a space alien versus a demonic entity? And of course they're going to show up being your friend. That's how most bad things happen. They do come in as your friend. And then they mess you up. But it's interesting in that Jack Parsons, he was part of the whole Jet Propulsion Laboratory in the day. And he was a Satanist. He was opening portals to other dimensions and messing with the dark side of the unseen realm. And at the same time, that's when Area 51, I forget, down in where they were having on the UFOs. Roswell. How do you know what they tell you is true? When you look at the physical movements and the sharp right angles and the things that you're witnessing, it's not a physical reality.
This is Mr. Gordon Brett. I can't stay on the line very long, but every lie can be debunked. Everyone. And regarding a flat earth, you know, back in the day it was very difficult to tell. But given that we now have airplanes that everyone can get on, and you can, if you've ever been on a plane and you go east and you just keep going east, and then you come back where you came from, that then tells you that unless there is a magnetic system that can go ahead and route you in a different fashion on a table, and you're making a series of not forward movement, but actually making left turns as opposed to go forward, you know that you've now been in a circumference movement. That's how you can find that truth. The truth of being lies about space are a lot more expensive for us to go ahead and validate. But there are those who want to always create doubt and deception, because if they can do that, then you become more malleable mentally. But I say again, everything can be doubted. Everything can be regarding a God. Regarding a God, that one is proven by a null hypothesis. That's a null hypothesis to prove God, because you do know you exist. You do know that you came from somewhere. There is an origin. And so then you say there is, and whether it's a plurality of other things, at the end of the day, for people like me, I get to the conclusion that there is a God, and I use the word faith because that is the substance of things hoped for but unseen, because I get there at a point in time. Because I'd wear my brain out trying to figure out then where did God come from. I'm not going to go there. So that's the more difficult of all the things to prove. But you go to a null hypothesis for it. Other things that are out there can all be proven. The things that we watch in the news can all be proven. But there will be those who will work very hard to try to make you doubt it. We're seeing it in politics today, but it can all be proven. And without getting into the politics that's very hard right now, under the last president, 4 of his close administrators were close friends of mine that he fired, or at least more than an acquaintance that he fired, and they were willing to give the truth. One of whom still supports him because he has sold his soul for the party. So even in those circumstances, we have ways to prove truths. And then you go to whatever it is that you're trying to disprove. It can be proven. Anything that you want to see disproved or whatever, it can be proven. And because most of us on this net are fairly well academically inclined, we have the ability to also look up and go to first-hand documents and look at it. I've been Area 51. And we understand there are some things that can't be explained, but the things that are hard to explain are not technical data. It's things like the markings on the ground that predate most of anybody's memory. Those are the inexplainable. But see, those things, the existence of one thing does not negate another. The Darwinian theory that everybody gets upset about. See, God made man, but he didn't say what he looked like. He said in his own image. Which parts of his image are they talking about? I don't get upset by that. Too many people become doctrinal or dogmatic in their beliefs, and then it makes them reject somebody else's claim. We don't have to go there. But other things that are empirical that matter can be proven. And I'm sorry if I stepped in, but I'm hearing things said. And to be fair, like I said, I'm a little nauseous and sick right now, so my fuse is not where it would ordinarily be. And okay, so I can't tolerate when we continue to move on. And first of all, Stuart and William and Patricia and Bernie and Patricio, it is good to see you all again. And I tried to listen in hard, but like I said, it's tough. And I definitely do not negate anything that our Native American friends had come up with, because there's a short line between what nature does and what science is trying to do, because that's tough. That's tough. But at the same time, it doesn't negate. It doesn't negate. And we do know that the spirits do work inside of us. They become more difficult to prove, but that doesn't mean it's not true. It doesn't mean that it's not real. And more specifically, if it has an intellectual and a spiritual impact, it is definitely real, because we do know that the psychology affects the human being. That which we believe we can probably do. So if there's a full commitment to it, and by the way, that's also biblical for anybody that's biblical, because he talks about the mustard seed. So we can go ahead and go past all those things. It's just that some people spend half their life trying to prove something to somebody else. But if the other person matters, the weight and the proof can be between two people. It can be proven. Now, I've got to step away, but
Arnold, before you go though, just one moment. So Elaine, we're going to let you finish, but I want to, before Arnold goes, and Arnold is a new trustee of the Center for American Studies, I want to just fill in briefly for you and for those who are not aware what this work is about, just briefly, and then we'll let Elaine finish up what she was saying. So this is the Center for American Studies at Concord's Global Village University, a degree not in the physical, natural, social, or cognitive sciences alone, but a fully realized spiritual science, or science of the spirit. And what we mean is about 50 years ago, the cognitive sciences didn't exist. 175 years ago, the social sciences didn't exist. Today, you have chairs and curriculums and fellowships and courses in the social and the cognitive sciences. We are on the cutting edge, I think, of the next step of fully realized science of the spirit. As I said, a reasoned faith, a faithful reason, or I speak of an enlightened common sense. The work in Concord was preparing the way for that, but also Booker T. Washington with his statement that my work at Tuskegee has always been of a threefold nature. That's also essential to the notion of the science of the spirit. Anyways, Arnold, what we have here with this initiative of the Center for American Studies is a degree offering from high school through postgraduate in the emerging field of the spiritual sciences. For instance, I'm offering a degree in what I speak of as cultural education, which speaks of education not as being subsumed by the political or economic sphere, but is truly an educational impulse that has to do first and foremost with truth. So it's a degree in the cutting edge field of the spiritual sciences with one of the finer small college faculties or collegiums in the country. These range from teachers of the year in our major universities to individuals like Bernice, who has an education, but she has ample life wisdom. There are no formalities here. There are no strictures in the Concord spirit. So a degree in the cutting edge field of the spiritual sciences with one of the finer small college collegiums in the country that is fully accredited, as we reviewed last week, that doesn't need to cost a penny. If students don't have the money, they do work exchange or something different. And in fact, what inspired this were connections of mine with three populations. This offering is not limited to those three populations, but they inspired it initially. Those were Native Americans, prisoners, and Africans. Again, it's not exclusive to these three groups, but that was the inspiration. That is, there are many people in those populations, Native Americans, prisoners, Africans, who have great gifts to give to the world, but little dream, little hope, little possibility of ever being able to afford it and do that. I've often said, imagine if we had not one Gandhi, but 10 Gandhis, or St. Francis's, or whatever. And they were there, but they didn't have the occasion, I believe, to come forward. Lastly, this degree offering in the spiritual sciences, we hope, Arnold, you'll offer a course or a degree in your career as a general in the U.S. Army. And from our conversations, you have a lot to offer as a Black.
Excuse me, Stuart, I'm sorry.
Arthur, let me just finish. So you have a lot to offer, Arnold, in terms of one who this time around is a Black brother who has plenty of reasons, and this is what I wanted to invite you to speak to tonight, but perhaps next time, plenty of reasons to express concerns about this country from what your race has had to bear, and yet you speak with an extraordinary insight and wisdom about what's trying to unfold in this nation. So the last element of what distinguishes this Global Village University is that if students who take the courses, like Jean and others, are serious students, then through our circle of friends, our Concordium, roughly 5,000 people from former prime ministers, Andonis Samaras' Greek, from Greece to janitors, who are working no less decisively in other corridors of power, there's a very good chance that through our network, students who come to this program will not only be able to get a good job, but fulfill their life calling. So that's what this is about, Arnold. And the question is whether you would consider giving a course or degree offering. And I say that because I know you are under the weather and you may have to retire. I do want to get back to Elaine, but I wanted to at least make that clear and invite any comments you may have, and then we'll hear from Arthur, and then we'll go back to Elaine.
Excuse me, Stuart. I wanted to ask Arnold, I didn't understand from what he was saying. Does he consider the earth flat or not flat?
There's two answers to that, but I'll give you the first one. Physically, the earth is round or egg-shaped or something cylindrical, physically. But it has become so enjoined and so interconnected that it now appears to be communicatively flat. So and because we also know, if you ever built something, the further you can get your laser going, once you get about 15 miles or so, you realize that it bends and it goes off into the sky. Because I've had to do this, the only way that happens is if there's a curve. There's a curve. It doesn't hold the same height above the ground. And only places you can really get that is over still water, because the ground continues to move up and down and those kinds of things. So I hope that answered your question. Physically, it is cylindrical. Communicatively, it is flat. Does that answer your question?
So
Thank you.
Arthur, hang on, please hang on a minute. We have
Stuart, I have one thing to say.
Arthur, hang on. Just a minute.
Stuart, please. Why you limited this global village to 3 groups of people? What about the ancient Asians, ancient India sciences that are so long ago?
Arthur, you didn't hear what I said. I said twice that it was not limited to those 3 groups of people. It is not limited, but we have a time element here. So hang on, please. I want to invite Arthur to.
Sure.
I want to invite Arnold to offer any comments on what's been offered about the Village University, and then to go back to Elaine so she can finish.
And first of all, my apologies also for not recognizing Michael and Nikki, because I've seen them in multiple occasions as well. So my apologies. Now, very, very quickly, you have to ask ourselves, what's the purpose? And there is the esoteric purpose, which is to know, to understand, to be a better global person. And it goes to the question I was just asked. There's no such thing as a Black history. There's no such thing as Asian history. There's no such thing as European history. Those may be areas where you focus for a moment in time. But because we are a global world, there is connectivity where you are influenced by something that derived someplace else. And if you believe that the world has been in some form of an expansion from gases internally, you also know, you can see where the African continent was aligned and captures and touches into the continent of South America. You can see where those places tuck in. You can see where the bays of Lake Huron, how it fits. You know, this all part. So if you understand that, you know that this is all part of world history, and where you focus is the argument. You know, it's like, I don't know if any of you all have done the Ancestry.com. People start to say, well, I'm this much for this part and this much. But one of the things that it does is tells you about the approximate time that you get that from. Because in theory, any test that doesn't say that there is a African continent in you someplace, you know it's incorrect. You know it's incorrect. So the question becomes how much and when. When did your folks migrate? When did that happen? You know, so you got to do that. I mean, so again, to your point earlier, any history that we do, any discovery we do, anything that we do has to be in the context of this now. So back to my first comment, which was, what's the purpose? To know. I think it feels like it's to know, to be a better global citizen. If that's the goal of the education, to be a better global citizen, then we can go there. Then the question becomes, what are the components that we need to address to be a better global citizen? I clearly think there is there's got to be some discussion of history. You know, history and we not evolution, but evolved history. Evolved history. And then you have the discussion where if we do this right, you let the students do their own work, and then it should be incumbent on whoever's leading the class to refute or validate or help them evolve that kind of discussion. That's really the great growth of college. And then whoever's facilitating the instruction, it is less important that they come to a conclusion that is that fits whoever's giving the instruction, as opposed to an approach like good math. Show me your work. Show me how you got there. And then evolving to a discussion whereby you bring yourself to either not believe what you thought, to refute your own hypothesis, or if you came into not without a hypothesis, just discovery learning, that's okay too. And then come to a conclusion at the end of the course. So the question then becomes, if we say it's a degree, what's the purpose of the degree? I almost feel like it is to make a person a better global citizen in this particular degree, and it should be a subcomponent of political science or a subcomponent of English or language or something. If that's the course that we're having, especially based upon the discussions that we hear, that I've heard over the periods of time, because we go to so many different places, and it's not bad, but it just needs to be with an intent and purpose toward the end. Okay.
Amen. Amen.
So again, you got to forgive me. I'm a military is maybe a little more structured than I probably want to be, and I don't know if I ever told you all this before, but I'm actually a fine artist, and I've let my guard down because I have not worked with my hands in art in probably realistically 50 years, but 30 years for sure of anything of consequence. So, but it is not. It is so much a part of me that I still think with the unconstrained mind of an artist. So, anyhow.
Thank you, Arnold. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's go back. Let's go back to Elaine, who prepared, and allow her to finish what she brought forward.
And I apologize to you, Elaine. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Arnold, very much. Elaine, dear sister, the floor is yours.
No problem. It does lead to way too many threads. For one thing, going east and west, which you can go west or east forever. It doesn't matter. There's no reason why you ever have to stop. It simply means left or right. And the North Pole is going west. It's on your right, and you can go in circles forever. You cannot go north and south forever because as soon as you cross, quote, the South Pole, you're heading north again. The thing is those movements can also be done on a flat plate. You can run around the edge of a flat plate or around a maypole, left and right, and if the maypole is considered like the North Pole, the magnetic north, it's the same motion. And when you're on too big of a disc to know where you're at on it, it's interesting. Magellan calculated approximately 60,000 miles going around Antarctica, which is actually twice the distance of the equator, which actually would make sense if there was an outer southern ring. It's just details like that, inconsistencies. And flat Earth also brings into question evolution, because going with the Big Bang and the globe and thousands and millions of years and evolution and swamp creatures and life just happening on a single cell and becoming frogs and then monkeys and then humans, it definitely destroys God as a creator, because you don't need God anymore. The two fit very well together, evolution and the globe. When you look at all the spinning and movements and circles, it becomes, the numbers are so great you can't actually compute them. The moon's 237,000 miles away. Somehow they were able to call to the White House in '69 with the technology that was less than our cell phones, without a problem. My son still doesn't have cell coverage if he drives into a dead zone 20 miles away. And to speak, quote, to the space station, the NASA site had said something about like a 5-second delay. Well, there wasn't any delays going on in '69 going through a vacuum. It's asking, how does an atmosphere stick to a globe flying through space next to a vacuum? No vacuums exist anywhere, logically, in that zone. It's practicing for the low pressure of space by going underwater into higher pressure for their testing. It's looking inside the space shuttle with all the wires and everything else in there, and you go, no electrician would approve that job. It's wondering if you've ever needed to use the bucket as a bathroom, you realize just the waste situation would become a nightmare. Well, I've been there for 6 months. That's a big pile. Just saying. It's all these different, it's evolution that leads into geology. Oh, we got all these layers in the Grand Canyon that proves these thousands and thousands of years. And then seeing from St. Helens the fact that there's over 20 feet of separated layers that formed within 3 days. So those time frames and what you've been told and what you've been taught by the experts, you start weighing them all over again. There's a short video where they generated coal through heat and pressure in under a year. But we're taught that coal forms over thousands of years. It pulls all these discrepancies into focus. Now, as a pilot, I listened to one man, he was a U.S. Navy weather radar who became a flat earther. There's pilots out there that have become flat earthers. There's military who say they never use the Coriolis effect in their calculations.
Excuse me, Elaine. What are you?
We're not going to go into the details at this moment, Arthur. Please, Elaine, can you give it?
All I'm going to say, and I don't care if anyone wants to pick it up or not, I do not care to debate it.
No.
If people are interested, I will build a website, a web page on the Concord site of Stuart once.
Good.
With information that they can select and go do their own research. If anyone can prove the globe, prove it. Physically, just go and prove it. There are 3 Bitcoins up for grabs for anyone who can prove the globe. It's worth over $100,000. I would love to prove the globe. I can't.
So Elaine, let me jump in now. Let's pause. I don't want to go into any one issue at too great depths at this point in time, because then it leads.
Well, I'm just showing how deep those connections and threads are entangled and wind up and challenge each other.
Good. So thank you. Then, friends, we're going to move to the next part of the evening. I'm going to bring forward onto the screen.
May I leave, Stuart? I'm sorry.
You may, Arthur. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you. So let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. Thank you, Elaine, for what you brought forward. Please send us something that we can put on the website. And let's
Stuart, one quick mention just on a side note. I sent you an email. It has it's slightly off target here, but it has a video on tying together the lost Hebrews with Native Americans. And then there's also part of a short video on the Hebrew-African connection.
Thank you.
And actually, the long video with I can't pronounce his name. He is actually African American.
Thank you. So we need to move on. Thank you, Elaine. So I will make note of that. So friends, let's take a breath for a moment, and I want to continue through the presentation on the Global Village University. Can you see on the screen here? Can people see this?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to read this through. This is the work we're bringing forward. The call for a fully realized science. We must never relax our efforts to arouse in the people of the world, and especially in their governments, an awareness of the unprecedented disaster which they're absolutely certain to bring on themselves, unless there's a fundamental change in their attitude towards one another, as well as in their concept of the future. The splitting of the atom has changed everything save our mode of thinking, and thus we drift towards an unparalleled catastrophe. We shall require substantially new manner of thinking if mankind is to survive. Modern science arose in the 16th century out of the prevailing religious view of the universe. Galileo is considered to be one of the fathers of what we've come to call the physical sciences. On the foundation of the physical sciences, the ongoing quest for knowledge gave rise to the natural sciences, followed by the social sciences, and in our more recent times by the cognitive sciences, the sciences of cognition or thought. The contribution of the cognitive sciences to mainstream American culture was established when George Lakoff, one of our country's leading cognitive scientists, was hired by the National Democratic Party to help them understand how voters think, in order for the Democratic Party to develop more effective strategies to bolster their ranks. As with the preceding sciences, the cognitive sciences, we suggest await their further evolution in what we refer to as the fully realized spiritual sciences, or sciences of the spirit, the new manner of thinking that Einstein calls for if humankind is to survive. Beginning with the physical sciences, each discipline, in order to establish itself, has had to struggle against the biases and repudiation of the preceding science or authority, going back to Galileo's struggle with the church. For years, the natural sciences were not considered hard enough. The social sciences, in turn, bore the stigma of pseudosciences, and only recently have the cognitive sciences come to be recognized as a bona fide academic discipline. So it has been. Today, our youth can find in their schools and universities not only courses, but research departments, chairs, and fellowships in the 4 fields of science noted: the physical, natural, social, and cognitive sciences. An appreciation for the unfolding of these sciences suggests that the search for knowledge, for an understanding of the universe in which we live, is ongoing, a fundamental expression of our humanity. In the words of the scriptures, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. For those committed to carrying this evolution on towards its fulfillment, through the development of a thinking that is able to move beyond faith, belief, or more personal mystical experiences alone, the next frontier we envision will be a knowledge science clear and illumined of the spirit. With this prospect in mind, we anticipate that in the years to come, courses, research departments, chairs, and fellowships in the spiritual sciences will, like the cognitive, social, natural, and physical sciences before them, not only become well recognized and established, but we believe that the spiritual sciences and enlightened common sense will provide the essential leaven for the renewal of culture in our time, become the cornerstone for civilization worth envisioning. In the Concord tradition, the Center for American Studies is committed to pioneering this new discipline of fully realized science of the spirit. In the words of its celebrated authors, the revelation of thought takes man out of servitude into freedom. Every object seen aright unlocks a new faculty of the soul. Margaret Fuller, the especial genius of women, I believe, is to be electrical in movement, intuitive in function, spiritual in tendency. Amos Bronson Alcott, what is expressed by each one of us, so far as we can explore our consciousness when we say, I, myself. Louisa May Alcott, these are Concord's authors, friends. If in my present life I love one person truly, No matter who it is, I believe that we meet somewhere again, for genuine love is immortal. Hawthorne, the heart, the heart. There was a little yet boundless sphere wherein existed the original wrong of which the crime and misery of this outward world were merely types. Purify that inner sphere, and the many shapes of evil that haunt the outward, and which now seem almost our only realities, will turn to shadowy phantoms and vanish of their own accord. And finally, Thoreau, when we deal with truth, we are immortal. When we deal with truth, we are immortal. Working in conjunction with colleagues, kindred spirits in the established academic institutions, universities, and within the greater universe in which we are all enrolled, the degree offering would serve the unfolding of this emerging discipline on our shores. Such a fully realized science of the spirit provides, we propose, the cornerstone for a civilization worth envisioning for our children, grandchildren, and for the generations to come, all our relations. I took a walk in the woods and came out taller than the trees. Henry David Thoreau. So friends, any comments on this aspect of our Global Village University that was just read? Any comments anybody has? Bernice?
As I listened to you read this, it brought to my mind something me and my husband discussed over 30 years ago. If mankind is to survive, we must stay in the element that God put us in. Take for granted an example of a fish. When do a fish get its genius? Only when you put it in its element. Take a fish out of the water and lay him on the ground, and he'll gasp for life. Pick him up and drop him in the water, and you'll see his genius powers come to fruition. He'll take off like a jet. Watch it. That's the example.
Beautiful. So elaborate a little bit more. So what is our element, dear Bernice?
Our element upon this earth is to serve humanity with love and respect. We are to understand that God made this earth and he gave it to man at no cost. And as I stated in a write-up that I sent you, God has given let me go back and read. My friend, as I read this, God has given me these thoughts. This ram, God told man, this is your earth. I give it to you at no cost. The requirement to receive this precious gift is for you to take it and subdue it. The animals, the trees, the marine life in the rivers and the seas is under your supervision. What you do with it will determine your fate. So man said, oh boy, all of this is mine. I can do what I want with it. And then man got cocky and began to manipulate, modify, change the structure that God set forth because he thinks he is smarter than God. And for this obedience, he will suffer and meet his demise or defeat for the damage that he has imposed upon this precious gift of humanity that only God can give. That's our element. This earth is our element. We are to take it and take care of it. God didn't charge us $5 an acre. He didn't charge us $50 an acre. When he gave it to man in the Garden of Eden, he didn't charge him one dime. He told him to take it and subdue it. To subdue it meant to take care of it, make it prosper. You give unto it, and it'll give back to you all that you need. Food, clothing, medicine, shelter, whatever you need is here. This is your element. Learn how to use it and use it well. But be respectful of it because you got it for free. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. The poet Robert Frost, if I'm hearing you, Bernice, summed it up by saying, "Earth is the right place for love. This is where we learn to love."
If I may.
Yes, Nikki, go
when
ahead.
you subdue it, that's what you do. You love it.
Bernice, I'm gonna add one more thing to what you were saying, okay?
Add it, baby.
It was a contract, and there was one stipulation in that contract. All right, don't eat of that tree. The woman, there was a man that was given the rules, the contract, and the woman said, "Oh, this is good, let's eat of it." And he didn't say, let's toss that apple or whatever it was and go stomp snakes. So it's up to the women to say, "Hey, look, let's go stomp snakes." Okay?
Chop his head
Just
off.
adding that part of it.
That's for another conversation. We'll talk about that. That woman got a bad report there because she didn't make him eat it.
Mm-hmm. And I know.
She just told him it was good to her.
He was an accessory after the fact.
But he got the worst punishment.
You hear that, guys?
We'll talk about that. Snakes. Yeah, we'll talk about the legalities of it. And you know what? There were some really legalities in the story that Patricio was talking about that I would have if I was discussing it. But I ain't gonna go into that because Stuart want to move on.
So, friends, thank you. This has been a wonderful, spirited last few minutes. The hour is late. I want to honor this. I'd like to go around and invite Nikki and Bernice have just talked to invite any closing comments from the others before I offer a verse. So I'm just going to go down the circle. Patricio, if you're still with us, any concluding comments for tonight from you?
It really comes down to not really mattering whether the earth is round or flat, but that it is a material space that we have to live in harmony with by whatever methods we can, either through the teachings that we've been handed down to or through our own discoveries. But if we are going to be moving forward and into existence, we are going to have to learn to work in harmony and in respect with this material world in whatever shape it is in order to move forward. But one of the things that has been handed down to us from our tradition is that we are not the makers of the material world. The material world is the makers of us. If in fact we don't behave, if we don't live in harmony and balance and in respect with the material world will eliminate us, because in fact it is the majority. It is the majority. We are a very small minority in the cosmic world, in the cosmic order of things. And the majority will in fact eliminate the minority if it does not act in proper order. And that's all that really matters, because the matter is the main thing. We have sprung up from the earth, and if we don't get that, if we even for a moment think that the earth sprung up from us, we are going to have to pay the price for that misunderstanding, and that of course will be our demise. And so that is why One People Tribal Nation was created, because some young people understood what we were teaching them, that they have to live in harmony with nature, and that is so different from what they were learning in the world that they were coming from. And they wanted to be more like us and less like they were. And I think that is the ultimate answer to the survival of humanity, in that it has to come to grips that it is a small part of the natural order of things, and should come to grips with that and act accordingly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, done.
Thank you, Patricio. Friends, concluding comments. I'm going to go down. Elaine, anything from your side? And if we could keep it somewhat short, the hour is late with our concluding comments.
Well, I simply, like I said, bringing up the topic of flat Earth, it does rouse people. It's not something they've really looked at seriously. And I would be willing to put a page up on the Concord site if people would like me to. On the other hand, if it's not important to anyone,
Elaine,
I'm okay not doing it too.
We've already said we welcome it. So why don't you send me something and we can discuss how best to introduce it.
Okay, let me know whether or not you think that's something you'd like to have.
Yeah, the answer is absolutely. So why don't you send me something and we can go over it. And thank you for your preparations. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I'm glad we were able to return to it.
Well, again, I've been looking at data and different people in different fields and different connections for hundreds of hours. So it's not something that I just decided I would follow the crowd somewhere. I don't generally follow crowds.
That's clear. That's clear. Let us wrap up here. Michael, any concluding comments from your side?
I think not.
Thank you for being with us tonight. This was a spirited evening. Luis, any concluding comments from your side?
Yes, thank you, Stuart. I would have to concur with Patricio in his statements. We are one with the universe. We are one in the cosmos, with the earth. we have to respect the integral integrity, harmony with one another. That is the only way we can revive our consciousness in our spirituality as one people. And unless we come together as one, we will not survive.
Very well said. Very well said. Thank you, Luis. Andrew, any final comments from your side?
No, just thanks for appreciation for all the speakers and our attendees here. Thank you.
Great to have you back, Andrew. Thank you very much. Patricia.
I only have one comment to make to Patricio. If you're listening and still here, you might have heard of in the past Sun Bear and the Bear Tribe. And also I understand there is a similar community, tribal community along the lines that you're speaking of in Texas, and I just don't happen to know the name of it. But that's all I really wanted to mention, is that we need to redefine for the general public what tribe really does mean, because it's being used in politics currently as a denigrating word to mean conflict and perpetual warfare and so on. There's a lot more to it than that, but basically when we say tribe, we're talking about social cohesiveness, social competence in our communication and our relationship. Thank you.
Patricia, I'm gonna connect you and Patricio with phone numbers. I'm gonna send you a text so you can follow this up.
And there's a Spanish word when two people, male and female, have the same name, and one is masculine and one is masculine ending with O, and one is feminine ending with A, and that word is Takaya.
Interesting.
It's not a Mexican word, it's a Spanish word.
Oh. Beautiful. Well, I will connect you both. Patricio knows of your work. And now, friends, we're approaching the midnight hour. I'd like to ask if Bernice would give us, I believe everybody who's with us still has offered some concluding comments. Bernice, can you give us a prayer, and then I'll offer the final verse.
We will. As we clear our minds and come to the throne of mercy. And I'd like to say to all of you, you made a great decision to be here to join us. Now you must make a greater decision. You must find out what service you are able to give. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare, says the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I am trusting in him. He will rescue me from every trap and protect me from the fatal plagues. He will shelter me with his wings. He will shelter me with his feathers. He will faithfully promise to use his armor to protect me. And now, Lord, as we leave this meeting tonight and we lie down to sleep, we ask you to give us sweet peace, give us rest. allow us to rise in the morning from a touch of your love, and don't let it be alcohol mode. Allow us to rise tomorrow to a new day. Start us on our way, that we may continue to do your service as we pray. Amen.
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 And the concluding verse, friends, I bear my sorrows into the setting sun. I lay all my worries into its shining lap, purified in light, transformed in love. They will return, my sorrows and worries, as helping thoughts in the morning, as strength for deeds, rejoicing in sacrifice. So friends, we have the cultural educational offering for those that are interested at, generally we're 4, but tomorrow it has to be 4:30 Eastern time. So anybody who would like to join us at 4:30 Eastern time, 3:30 Central, 2:30 Mountain, 1:30 California time, we will be continuing with the leading thoughts and with this speed trace. We talked about how one can review holding a feeling, a trauma, how one can review over the years, go back over the years and properly remember it out of our out of our longing for healing. So we'll pick up these threads tomorrow. For those that are interested, I'll send the link at 4:30 Eastern time. Thank you, one and all. Thank you very much. It is this work together that's making this Global Village University real. So my heartfelt thanks to one and all.
Thanks to all, and goodbye. Love you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.